Salad or Dolly, threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi, it got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather, we're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together. Did you clap? Hello there.
Hello there, Ione Sky on Weirder Together podcast.
Hi, Ben.
How you doing, Ben?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm very, I don't know, I'm excited. There's a lot going on.
I can tell, yeah.
I've been being a dilettante involved in 500 different projects at the same time, providing like adequate input to each, not excelling, but just doing a lot.
That's right.
That's my sweet spot.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, you've been really juggling and doing a lot of cool projects.
I have, and it's been fun. I did a little trip down to Melbourne. I was doing something with Mole Rat down there, and then came back and got, involved with something Byron and Tyra Banks are doing momentarily, and we'll see what comes of that. That was like being, I don't know, just like invited to a circus, which was amazing.
I like the idea of you just like bumbling into things, like, getting involved. Like, it's not even
Chauncey Gardner style.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and then we had a nice little celebration last night for Catherine, for Kate, my stepdaughter.
My daughter graduating from university. We moved, so we had our first like party for her and the house.
And it was a test for the house in a sense, because we love to throw parties, but we just didn't know if we could pull it off.
I think it worked
space.
better than our last spot. This place is really good.
And Eli from their kitchen, who we have talked about before, delivering some incredible vegan culinary delights.
Yeah, this was very, my daughter's father is sort of like a kind of fancy man. And I was just thinking like he would have loved for Kate to have a catered party. And Kate didn't want to seem too fancy, but I saw her at one point just like looking at the setup and like, yeah, this is how I want to be. This is how I want to live.
I just love the fact that you used the phrase fancy man as if that is just a known way of describing someone's personality and style.
He likes that kind of, it was chic and small and low key, but it was just like perfect. It was so good.
And all her friends are in sort of the inner west punk scene, and they can put away the beers. We brought some good Japanese beers for them, and I feel like they indulged appropriately.
What do
with
you
gratitude.
call it? On the beers?
They were on the beers officially, yeah, and I think they pulled it off.
And they all love our little kid. Like our 16-year-old is also like a real hit among the grown-ups.
Well, we do have our very first in-studio guest in the new Weirder Together Marrickville HQ. Mm-hmm. Please welcome to the pod, Tay Blunt from the band FVNERAL.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Tay.
Hey.
Happy to be here. Hi.
How are you?
Pretty good.
What was your reading on? You were there as, how would you describe your role yesterday?
I guess the sort of sous chef, carrier of stuff, I would say. Yeah, it was great.
You have some kind of
good vibes.
There's romantic involvement, perhaps, with the chef. I don't want to create any Me Too situation.
Yeah, there has been an ongoing relationship.
Have you felt harassed at any point? Like, have you felt objectified as a sous chef? It must be the power dynamics must be complicated.
It definitely is complicated. I think. Yeah, I mean, I've been like put in my place for sure. Yeah, I think there's been a real need to let go of control in that situation. Because
why is the food? I mean, we've seen The Bear and this and that, and seen these cooking shows where the tension is high. Is it just because people care so much about food and the timing, like the stress around food for the chefs?
It's hard to say. I think because I almost feel like when I've been in a kitchen with Eli, kind of helping them, I've obviously been working, but it's almost, I feel like kind of a journalist in that setting. Like I'm kind of observing what's happening and trying to understand. I don't know, it feels like, I can imagine what it feels like to run like a 100-meter final in the Olympics. Just there's such urgency with which the food needs to be up on the pass. And
the timing.
And the heat and the sound, it's very there's lots of kind of intense like sensory stuff happening.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fascinating, but it's that situation at your house far less terrifying than actually being in a commercial kitchen.
For sure. I notice like when I've cooked, I'm not a huge, I mean, whatever. I do cook once in a while, but when people mill around you when you're just cooking in the house and they're sort of looking over your shoulder, and I'm just like, get away until it's done. Like it's almost like, I guess it would be like if you guys are writing like a song and someone's just sitting there like right up in your face. Like it's sort of you need like your space.
Now, what we have here is a classic example of a non-musician thinking we will only understand the concept if it's translated into an example that we might relate to.
I appreciated it. I would have no understanding.
If you were confused, let me put this in terms you might understand.
Well, my favorite thing is to try to put something that does not need an example in another form of an example. Like if I'm trying to explain a feeling or something I've gone through, I'll say it and Ben completely gets it. And then I'm like, it's like this. It's like as if, when you're getting your brakes, fixed in the car. And he's like,
I'm like, babe, I was with you. I was with you at it's stressful to go to Services New South Wales. I got it the first time.
I
love that place.
Like put it.
Underrated.
No, not at all.
Oh, listen, once you've lived in America and been to the DMV,
it's true.
Services New South Wales is like heaven.
Yeah, I remember moving back from the US and going there for the first time. It was quite liberating.
So how long did you live in the US
I feel like people cry. I've seen people cry out of relief going there, especially.
And the beauty. They're crying out for the beauty too.
And the relief of getting your P's, passing the driving test.
And it's sort of, it is a less stressful what's it called here?
Services New South Wales.
Right? It's way less stressful.
Oh, well, it's functional. It's basically functional. It's annoying, but functional. Anyway, we're not here to talk about vegan cookery. We're not here to talk about getting your P's at Services New South Wales.
What about the DMV? Shout out, though, because I'm from LA, like I used to...
She's not ready to drop it.
The people watching at the DMV and I don't know, I have a soft spot for the Hollywood DMV, which... I do have a soft spot. It's hell on earth in a way, but I have a soft spot.
Well, it's like if you've read Lord of the Flies and you appreciate just letting people battle it out for survival. And
my brother had a friend from Hollywood High who worked at the DMV, and I was like, we must keep her name and number and just be like send her flowers because you can help a friend out there.
Yeah,
you can.
But I guess also it's like. The Lord of the Flies thing, it's a good book to read. It wouldn't be a good book to be in, to be a character in. And it's like, when are you at the DMV just to observe,
Yeah.
No, we all have needs, and the heart wants what it wants.
Yeah.
Okay, we are coming out of, last week was release week for The Funeral featuring Ben Lee single, Friendly Fire.
Yeah.
How are you feeling a week later? It's sort of vulnerable every time you put something out,
I guess. It feels good. I'm happy that it's out. It feels like a fun song. Also, I can't help. I need to break the fourth wall. I'm staring at your penis.
Oh gosh, yeah, we did actually position. Tay is looking at Ione's erotic paintings of me that will one day.
I know Ben came in here the other day and he's like, I got turned on looking at my own painting, and I'm like,
who wouldn't?
Yeah.
So this is her series she's working on.
It started with we were doing Pilates. And Ben was lying on a mat, and I was like, "Let me take a picture of you." And then I was like, "Let me do a whole photo shoot." Anyway,
yeah, it's beautiful.
So,
Sorry, I was briefly distracted.
It's okay. This is like drip feeding the excitement of the Ione painting reveal that will probably happen in 6 months. We're like planting the seeds. But the single's out. It was like such an honor to be involved in. I love the song, and
it was an honor to have you on.
The message of it, and. I don't know. Yeah, like what? I don't know. You want to give a little spiel on how?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it was funny. I guess like your involvement with it was kind of funny in a way because there was no, like I asked you if you were interested and you said you'd think about it, and then you kind of just did it without. We didn't really like talk about what the song was about.
I took a minute though. Like I waited until I felt like I had an idea.
Yeah, totally. I'm interested to know what you thought it was about from. Because it wasn't like discussed, right? It was just
I mean, look, from the beginning of the song, that opening verse about, giving homophobes head in the church and the violent crying out to the violent God. Like it was very clearly to me about, queerness within the church community or conservative community. And for me, it was like, I just really thought about like what would be my way in? Because when someone asked me to collaborate, like you can say yes in theory, but you've got to actually find a way in. Otherwise, it's not worth doing.
Totally.
You know, and I just thought like I related to the sort of terror and excitement of needing to claim your own space and identity where it might not be an easy road, you know?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that kind of is largely what the song is about. I think it's like there was some sense that in order to like fully, maybe not like come out to myself, but sort of like come into myself in a way, that there was like a need to, maybe the last piece of that puzzle was kind of getting rid of some of that like internalized sort of transphobia or just like fear of like who I was, I think. And I think that the song is kind of like, I guess, written from a perspective of like wanting that to happen, but I think largely was actually written kind of after sort of getting towards the end of that process, which I think.
And how old are you now?
30.
You're 30, so that whole your journey with exploring queerness and all that stuff, that started obviously before, like the last decade has become a much more open space.
Yeah,
right? So
definitely.
that must have been interesting. I imagine it's like...
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, like, I kind of, like, distanced myself from, like, church spaces when I was, like, 18, like, 17, 18. And so I think that probably, like, that obviously felt quite like I was coming into, like, a sort of freer world, just generally speaking. But probably did also coincide with maybe the world becoming a bit more, like, literate about, like, gender and sexuality and stuff at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
didn't you, what was your, did you do your, was it your PhD or your master's?
I'm like at the start of my PhD.
You're
right
at the
now.
start of it. And can you talk, it's all connected, I think, right?
Totally. Yeah. So doing it in gender studies at the University of Sydney. Where Kate just graduated.
Yeah. And we met the head of that department the other night.
Oh.
At you know Jamie, is it Price, the painter, oil painter?
Yeah.
It was like a birthday drinks for him and she was there.
Oh.
And
interesting.
Anyway, yeah.
Crazy.
Anyway,
World's colliding, kind of.
So you're at Sydney Uni, yeah.
Yeah, and kind of writing about how trans and non-binary people sort of use digital media as a way of like self-actualizing and kind of finding community. And then also obviously the flip side of that, which is like, you know, there's lots of stuff being said about trans people, not by trans people online. So looking at kind of like, I'm doing a whole section on like TERF studies basically as well, which is so lovely. And
that's all the like J.K. Rowling and that whole...
The bozos of the internet.
But it's funny because J.K. Rowling is such a vocal spokesperson for that, but are there other is it a big group?
Yeah, she's assembling a little army.
Okay. Yeah. Trans exclusionary radical feminists, right?
Yeah.
That's what she calls it,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So but there's no real dialogue. There's just debate, right? There's just argument.
Dialogue with the TERFs?
Well, I just mean like the evolution of ideas like involves conversation. But if people, when you go into fundamentalism and people are just trying to yell each other down, you can't evolve the conversation.
And
right?
what is the fear? Like I don't really get it. Like, I don't know. I went to this thing called the Women's Michigan Festival that used to be this big gay women's festival. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
This is like what, early 90s?
Yeah. And it's just for women. And there was one teenager who was too young to transition, who was there, but identifying as a woman. And there was this whole thing where all of a sudden everybody was like up in arms.
Wow.
Because, you know, they wanted it a safe space, whatever. But then at the end of the day, it was like, if you were identifying as a woman, you know, you can be here.
Sure.
But I remember I was with my friend who's not gay. She's straight. She came along and I was like, what do you think? And she was like, a minority kicking out another minority just is like, what is going, like, it was so clear that should not be an issue.
It's like my Russian immigrant grandmother's racism. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing.
Sure.
What are you doing?
Like if you have like, say a man snuck on and was like there to be creepy because
Sure.
women wanted to feel like they could walk around and be women and topless, whatever. But that's different. But people just don't look at case to case. Like here's somebody who's too young, but like so nice
and just
like,
craving community too.
Yeah, just like looking for community. Nothing bad's gonna happen. Like, why are you having all these meetings?
But
that's when I saw my first. There was a trans woman who was very crunchy, and it was funny who was there already and had been going and was like, being like, I've been going.
Yeah.
But it was my first crunchy. I was used to seeing just like femme.
Right.
And this was so fun because I was like, Birkenstocks, like hippie outfit. Like, because this is in the 90s. I was like, oh my God. Like
novelty.
you can actually dress and be whoever you want. Like, it was really funny.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, the tough stuff is interesting because I think like largely, like, I don't know. I'm not ever going to try and like put myself through what it would take to like understand why J.K. Rowling is as horrible as she is. Yeah. But I think like maybe it appeals because it's like a grift, and it's just like all these. I don't think these people, like most of them, I don't think they really care about trans people at all. But they're like, they know that it's a successful grift in 2025.
Do you think that's really it? Because she seems actually genuinely.
Is she religious though? Because religious people sometimes have a
yes,
they have that Bible thing of like Adam and Eve, man and woman, and they really believe it. Yeah. In that simplistic way or something. But for her, like what, I don't know what that is. Or old school lesbians.
Well,
like,
I mean, I don't know.
Why would an old school lesbian be threatened?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think there was some I can't tell if I mean, I spend so much fucking time thinking about J.K. Rowling, but I mean, there was some suggestion that maybe like her ex-husband left her for a trans woman, which, you know, is like, whatever. But
yeah, what's that
this
expression?
Is alleged?
Yeah, I don't know. This is maybe
alleged, but what is that thing like sometimes, what's the term for something that the clearest and simplest thing is sometimes the
Occam's razor.
Yeah, Occam's razor.
You think Occam's razor is her husband leaving her for a transgender?
Sometimes people, it's very specific. It's like it's like Wagner being a little anti-Semitic because he had some bad business with
patrons or whatever.
Patrons, so it's just like, I have bad taste in my mouth.
But yeah, I think the grift is real. Like I think JK probably actually hates trans people, and I don't know why, because she's like, I mean, she's horrible. But yeah, I think the grift is like really what's kind of mobilized the crew.
Yeah, the grift has been big for the last few decades.
Let me ask you a question. How do you? Because I know I heard you and Harry were sort of talking about this the other day, and I'm interested in how do you? Like I was saying before, like dialogue surely is part of the way we move forward. How do you create spaces for dialogue with, like when I think of my own, I mean, I'm not specifically transphobic, but there are ideas that have taken me time to come around to as a cis guy, you know, right?
Yeah,
how do you create space for conversation where people can actually like learn and adjust to new ideas without just sort of writing them off? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really hard. Like, I think it has to be like baby steps because, I think like you talking about, say, your own kind of like maybe evolution.
Yeah. Just fear of the unknown.
Yeah. And I think there's something that I find quite helpful in thinking about, say, like my position as like a white person, in thinking that like, in some sense, I'm like racist, not because of like the opinions I hold, but just because like I'm in many ways a beneficiary of racism, and like that holds true for, you know, anyone in relation to any kind of like marginalized identity. And but I think that is kind of like a useful starting point for being like, instead of me being like, you as a cis person are transphobic, it's like, well, that might be true in some kind of like broad non-malicious sense. It's like for you to like think about what the way that like your positionality impacts the way that you interact with like gender and like cis women and like people who are like kind of outside of the binary and trans people, I think that that's like probably like a useful starting point for like having that conversation, right?
Yeah, I was really fortunate, and you're fortunate if you get to be around, like I grew up with so many gay men in my life, and I grew up just like, it was so just the way I grew up. So I was very lucky, like, because exposure, it is just so important to just be in front of something and just have it be around. What was the reunion for the real life? What was that TV show? The first reality
The
TV?
Real World.
Yeah, there was a real world reunion, and it was during Black Lives Matter, and there was this one woman, and I don't know if you saw it, but she like was like, I love Black people, and it was just this new conversation of, like, well, we're talking about systematic racism, and so I think there's that, like, I have a gay friend, I love Black people, like, so there's that stage where people are stuck, or I'm liberal, I'm open-minded, they're stuck in this thing. So I think then people were trying to say, well, look, we just ask you to learn more about it, get more exposed, or learn about it, or whatever. You just that's all, because it's like, you can't just get stuck on, I love Black people, I have a Black friend.
For sure.
Love sees no color.
Yeah, it was just sort of like, well, why? Well, there's a new conversation, and if you really want to like open up to that, like just sort of open your mind and learn about it a tiny bit, and that's what we're at. What like someone might say, you know. But yeah, getting in front of something that you're afraid of is that's a really good thing for people to do, I would think.
Yeah, and I mean, I think of that, like, whenever we play shows, I think it's like, maybe it comes across as like playful or even like antagonistic, but I like asking like people to put up their hands if they're queer, because it's nice to like be in a room as a queer person and identify yourself when there's a situation for other random people to identify themselves in that way as well, because that's like something that I craved as a kid, but being able to like have that be established kind of early on in like even if it's just for like a half an hour show or something, it kind of like creates an understanding around the whole room that there are other people like you, or like that are different in maybe some like shared way, which I think is useful. And so I think like just like little baby steps like that can kind of help for the, I don't know, kind of breaking down the bigger kind of like fears or questions that people have, is just being like, I am actually already sharing space with like queer and trans people.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's, I didn't mean to suggest that your job as someone who identifies as trans is to like educate everyone else, but because you do transgenre and you put yourself in a leadership position,
I would like the world to be more.
Questions come up. Yeah.
I definitely don't see it as my responsibility, but I would like, I personally would benefit from a world that was more educated in that way. So,
what do you think? Yeah. Is queerness now considered more someone's behavior or someone's identity?
That's an interesting question.
So like if you have two frat guys that pick up two sorority sisters and they like to fuck them in the same room and high five each other.
That's gay.
But if they don't identify as queer, they identify as like, this is two bros being straight. Would you think of that as queer behavior?
Well, it just depends
asking
on
for a friend.
No, it depends on the person. Like some might just be doing it, and some might be watching, like
in White Lotus or something.
Yeah, like, well, who is that guy?
And there are other layers to why that's more interesting as well.
Like they're that very right wing guy who would have his wife pick up dudes and watch.
The Reverend Graham.
Yeah, he has all those Christian colleges, and I
don't know who this person is.
There's a
I forget who it is. He's like a famous Republican.
He wanted to be fluid, but he was so Republican. But I think
so.
He was just like my wife, and so
my wife.
So she picked up this like young stud guy, whatever, at the pool, literally like a pool guy, and
I
then
hope that this person that was
watch.
picked up knew what was happening.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think you enjoyed it. But wait, let's stay on. Let's jump around too much. Wait, is that queer? Like, what's queer? What is queerness? I guess is my question.
I mean, I guess that's up to them. I think, like, anecdotally, just as someone who was like, I mean, this is so funny. I mean, I hope my parents don't listen to this, but I mean, I definitely have had, lots of sexual encounters with people who, I guess the situation would be read as queer, but the people definitely don't identify like that, like the church thing, and lots of, I mean, there's so much gay stuff. I feel like all of my first like queer experiences were in like church settings, or like at youth group camp. Those places are crazy, but
they recognize there's something going on that would not make the priest happy, unless the priest does like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like in like the frat situation, there's like some, you know, the bros might recognize that there's something going on that wouldn't make like, who's like the head of a frat? This is like not my world. Whatever their like overlord is, probably wouldn't be happy about that either. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I would say like, you know, they're queer if they identify that
so it's
that
identity
way.
Though it's not behavior.
I would say so. Yeah. I just don't necessarily feel comfortable like telling someone like what they are or how they are.
Sure.
But again, if it's someone who's like, I mean, I don't feel the same uncomfortability wondering if like, does J.K. Rowling hate trans people because like J.K. Rowling maybe is trans, or like, you know, like Lindsey Graham hating gay men in, I don't know where he's from, somewhere in the South.
Lindsey Graham, that's who we're talking about. Yeah, Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, super gay, for sure. Lindsey Graham, gay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like if someone tries pot once or twice, you're not like,
you're
you're a stoner. Like if you happen to just find yourself in a, you know, a motel room with your mate and you're both on, you know, whatever, with girls, I don't know.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious because queerness to me, it's like, because I always like, I loved, like I read William Burroughs' Queer when I was 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And what struck me about it was that it was about identifying yourself as being outside of mainstream culture.
Sure.
It was also connected to drug use. It was also connected to exploring consciousness. It was also connected to traveling the world off the beaten track, not just being a tourist. You know what I mean? So there was a whole sense of like, we were talking about this the other day, you were calling it cultural queerness.
Yeah.
About just the willingness to live in a reality that's not mainstream, I guess.
Sure. And I think even thinking about like queering as like a verb of like something that you like are doing rather than like as a being, I think is like kind of useful for thinking through maybe how like things can be queer, or like, you can like queer something that you're doing that's kind of outside of like sex or gender or those kind of things. You know what I mean?
It's funny. It's like I think of FVNERAL kind of similarly to how I think about Fugazi, in that when I first heard FVNERAL, I just heard you sent me like SoundCloud link or something. Yeah. And I was like, these songs are good. I didn't know anything about the politics or any of this stuff.
Interesting.
And I'm curious how I mean, maybe every artist has this, but when you do have this larger message, you don't ever want to be in a situation where like the music's actually coming second and you're not making enjoyable music. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you keep that stuff prioritized?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that like having the message be like so like yelled about and like front and center is probably a good way of just like, it's kind of a helpful way to like weed out the sort of like less desirable people that might become a fan otherwise, you know. It's like if you like a song and then go on our Instagram page and see like a trans flag and that like pisses you off, then like you can stop listening. Like, please stop listening. Yeah, but
that's already after they've already then been sold on the catchiness of the song. So to some degree, you're keeping the song.
Yeah.
Like it's not like just sloganeering music. It's like proper pop songs. Like, you're a great writer and a great producer. So
thanks.
I'm just curious about that. Like, to what degree do you want people to be aware of that on first listen versus the like syrupy thing about hooks?
I think probably the latter. Like I have lots of affection for like becoming obsessed with an artist because of like hearing a hook. Like I love pop music and I feel like melody really seems like quite like magical to me. And I think there's so many artists that I've like became obsessed with Against Me, like kind of in a sonic sense, and then like really like latched onto the narrative of like Laura and like her transition. And
Did you ever see the
all of
video
that
I
stuff.
only directed for them?
Yeah. Great video.
That was so funny when we first started dating, and I knew Ben's music, and then all of a sudden Ben was like, "I'm covering an entire." I didn't know Against Me. Ben covered.
That's how you
an
got across
entire-
Against Me.
Well, that was just something that happened when we were first dating, and I was like,
Wow.
I thought it was so cool and interesting. I didn't know the band, and then just that Ben, like you said, when Ben liked your band,
Yeah.
you know, you, Ben, just sort of do something just like, this is good. I know this is great.
Yeah.
And I just feel like covering an entire album from, it just was a very interesting thing. I don't know if anyone's ever
People
done
do
it.
that. Yeah.
I don't know. It
people
was
have
just
done
so great. It was such a cool
It was interesting, but people have done it.
fandom.
It can be
I don't
both.
know. I just thought it was really like, wow, that's so cool. Anyway, I thought
Well,
that
they're
was
a
cool.
very
Yeah.
interesting band.
And I
mean,
didn't know
yeah.
the band at all, so I was also just like,
Yeah.
whoa. Just I was inspired by your inspiration and like being into that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're a good example of like, I think like that message is so clear and like forthright, but it's still like the songs fucking rock. And yeah, there are lots of bands that I like that I just like because of how it sounds, not because of like what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so I think that like I'm interested in making music that feels like fun and expressive and like cathartic in some way beyond like what the actual lyrics are saying, I guess.
Yeah, because we were just talking about this morning, actually. We were talking about getting to know you and Eli and just sort of, and I was saying how obviously this journey around identity is so central to what you're saying. But for me, what I connect with first and foremost with you is you're an ambitious, driven artist.
Interesting.
And that to me is like, make that any gender you want. That kind of person's my kind of person. Do you know what I mean? Like that's no, but I'm just saying, like that's
funny.
how
Yeah.
like I always. It's sort of like I think that side is really. I don't know. It's really cool. I think part of the way we open our minds is seeing different expressions where I don't know, gender and identity are not the main thing in a way going on. It's like
first
it's
and
another
foremost the
expression.
hustler. Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But it's also
Exactly.
coming to Australia. There's that, you know, tall poppy thing, and there's the whole like.
Yeah, I don't
know,
really
but
subscribe to it at all.
You don't,
I
and but there's still there's a gentle softness. I don't know what it is, but the way that you hustle, and I think an aggressive hustle is fine too, but yours is like, it's just like. There's a chillness to your hustle.
Thank you. Yeah, not chill on the inside for sure.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
I mean, I'm similar. People think I'm very mellow, and I'm like the most anxious, struggling type person.
Yeah,
but I
likewise.
might present.
That's the key to success.
I
The key to
present
success is to
chill.
be relentlessly driven, but make it look completely effortless and like you don't care.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
there's just like I mean, you
Interesting.
seem like you care, but it's you present like, I guess I'm similar to like, you present like kind of mellow.
Well, yeah, and I also think I am conscious of like not being annoying. Like I think I also am in situations increasingly where I feel like maybe there's like an understanding that like certain people like want something from me, and I think that I have always been aware that like even before experiencing that like there's something kind of gross about making someone else feel like that, you know?
Like asking you to reach and get something off the top shelf.
Well, that's fine because it's like that's
I'm kidding.
That's a sort of genetic advantage that I have, and
I know.
you guys happen to have
Exactly.
We have all-
crazily
Give me
tall
a boost.
cupboards.
I'm breaking out of here.
I know. I'm like, the house came with this stepladder that's very utilitarian, which is cool. I like utilitarian, but
Well, where was the stepladder?
it was
We
what
put it
we
in the
put in
shower
the
yesterday.
shower.
Ah.
But now I'm looking at all these like cool looking stepladders. But when you were over, I was like, oh, by the way,
Like, hey,
can
there you go. You got Tay. You don't need a stepladder.
I know.
So yeah, what is the vision like long term? So transgenre is it a registered nonprofit or is it a business or
Soon to be registered nonprofit.
Okay.
It's a bit of admin.
yeah, but it's a money losing exercise at the moment.
Oh, yeah, we're not making money.
No, exactly.
No.
It's a nonprofit in even if not technically registered as that. It's
Yeah.
non-profitable.
That's
It's
that's
extremely
what we've been doing.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Extremely
do
unprofitable.
Nonprofit.
Yeah. Hopefully
and
this
then-
year is our first year of being profitable.
Yeah.
So, But like, what's the vision for transgenre, for FVNERAL?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely kind of related, but I think like transgenre, I really like at the moment it's like the only like sort of music festival in Australia with a fully trans and non-binary lineup, which I think is cool, but I would like it to not be the only one. Like I think ideally, you know, in 5 years' time, there's a bunch that are all around Australia in different parts of Australia and maybe, you know, have different like genre specialities or something. But yeah, I would like transgenre to grow and be like as big as, you know, any other sort of mainstream festival for sure.
But wait, so let me ask, this is just more then from a business perspective.
Yeah.
Can you both grow and encourage competition?
I think so.
You're basically saying I want other festivals to be out there competing with us. Because at the moment you've cornered the market.
Yeah, but I mean, well, it's like the market is not... We've cornered the market in the sense that like most of the people that come to this thing are trans folks who, like, historically speaking, don't have a huge amount of disposable income. And so, like, I would love it to get to a point where, like, non-trans folks were showing up because they loved the music. Like, obviously, you know, co-sign the message that trans people should exist and do cool stuff. But, yeah, I would love if it just became something that we could sell, like, you know, a few thousand tickets to. And I think if it was happening everywhere, it's like... Something I've been thinking about a lot with, like, the kind of collapse of so many festivals is, like... It's not like because, you know, one collapsed that it's just become easier for the next one to survive. It almost seems like without a kind of like broader ecosystem of like shared activity and kind of like a, you know, just a marketplace full of like people doing the same kind of shit, that it seems to be like kind of crumbling, you know?
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
It is a fun environment. Like when we went to Heaven, was that like that was a queer...
You know about Heaven? It's like Sophie played there.
Oh, mad.
It's in LA. It's a...
Oh, sure.
And who had their first live show?
Aisha Rodica. We went and saw one of the most chaotic live performances. It was like Aisha Rodica.
When was this?
It was so fun.
3 or 4 years ago.
But was it 3 years ago? Maybe.
Yeah, it was a while
but
ago.
it was so
It's
great.
really fun.
And at one point
it's
I was
really
like,
fun.
why does this feel so good? Because it feels safe and the sexuality is not scary. It's so funny that it's so... The irony to someone who wouldn't understand is that you'd be like, oh, it's going to be so hard. It actually feels so much better than being in like a douchey...
Well, also, no one's drinking alcohol. Everyone's
Yeah,
on like,
yeah.
they're on MDMA or something. but it's like,
People were thanking us like we were ma and pa. Like, thank you.
shortest line to the bar.
I know.
of
Oh,
anything
I'm
I've ever
sure.
heard.
Yeah, because everyone just wants a soda water. It's like,
Yeah, we were the old school, like, sort of, you know, mom and dad. And they were like, thank you for coming. And we're
No,
like,
that was an amazing...
But the
that was
energy's
amazing.
so good. And so I
Yeah.
can see the appeal also for straight people to just be around it. But wouldn't it be great if
Yeah.
it just wasn't like a bother with stuff? Like, I like
Yeah.
that sex work here, it's legal, right? Like, and it just gets so much worse when things are not, and they have to be like underground. And like, if something's just like normal, it's like, oh, what's the big deal? But anyway, it's people don't understand that it actually feels like a safer space for everybody.
Totally.
That was really fun.
Yeah, I also think like, I don't know, there are so many people who like, since coming along to, you know, stuff that we've done, like come out as trans or whatever. And it's like having spaces like that, like allow, like it's hard to kind of like imagine a happy future for yourself in a community that you've never like experienced, right? It's like, yeah, more of these events, like particularly in like regional Australia, would really like allow, people that are kind of like wrestling with some of that shit. Not that like, you know, everyone that goes is going to then come out as trans, but it's like there's something that's liberating for everyone to be in a space where like gender is more fluid than it's been like sort of sold to us.
It's unnecessary that people would have to hide and feel so bad. Just be alone in their room being scared and confused when if you were... I was also lucky in the 90s, there was this like really fun lesbian community and it just felt so good, and there was so many places to go to, and it was like a lot of the people were successful, so it just like and happy, and And I just, because I was in that, it just was like, what's the big deal? Because I was so privileged, I guess, to like be in something that like you can just, you know, be as butch or this or that or whatever. And it was not, there was a community, but it didn't even feel, and also it felt like that community could be in the straight world too. And like it was very, I thought that was everywhere. I went to New York at the time and they were like, oh no, there's not, the clubs aren't happening right now. And so I was like, oh, this is like a unique, anyway, but it's so, that's so different to have that. It's such a nice, if you're lucky enough.
Yeah. And I guess probably the only other like broad goal would be, I mean, transgenre kind of started because Ellie, the person I co-founded it with, and I, you know, spent so much time probably like in the year before really like emailing and like DMing on Instagram, all these like festival promoters and being like, why are of this like 30 band lineup, why are there no trans artists on here? And the response was literally like, you know, we book the best. So like if they're a good trans artist, they'll be on here. Sorry, I guess like they're kind of not up to the standard, which is like a crazy thing to say. But yeah, I guess the goal would be to like demonstrate that, you know, every transgender event that we've put on so far has sold out in advance, which is like, you know, not something that is happening for like mainstream festivals. And so I think like it would be great if it kind of resulted in, you know, festival promoters like booking lineups that actually reflected their audiences, which like, you know, it's no secret that the whole music industry is built on the back of queer and trans folks, particularly like people of color. And yeah, it'd be awesome if they finally kind of like, there was a reflection of the audience in who was on the stage and, you know, behind the scenes as well. But
like Richard Little? No, Richard Little. Who's the great black artist from the 50s?
I just want to take a moment before I tell you the name you're thinking of to honor how profound calling Little Richard Little is.
No. That's bad. Sorry.
No, guys.
Oh my God. I'm
we're here. Just enjoy the moment.
You could edit that to swap it around.
I'm sure. Soak it up. This is our fans. These are the moments they live for. I'm going to get DMs about this.
Listen. I'm going to be struck down.
No,
but
that was
also
amazing.
my dyslexia has come out later in
It could
life.
be a good like a Little Richard covers project called Richard Little.
I heard an amazing story about Little Richard.
Little
Ben
Richard
Harper
was
told me.
so helpful for people because, you know, just anyway.
Ben Harper told me that he was skateboarding with friends when he was younger and a stretch limousine pulled up in LA and the window rolled down and Little Richard just came out the window and beckoned the skaters over and gave them a Bible with his own face on it, and it said Richard's Bible verses, and then reached out his arms but also signaled the driver to pull away so that he'd be like reaching for them as like, you know what I mean? And I just love that.
That's an amazing moment.
I want to be like that. It's so dramatic.
That's so dramatic.
Obsessed.
So in terms of people being political or speaking out, where do you draw the line between what's like a nice thing for people to express support and actual responsibility? Like when you have a time when, you know, like for instance, like Taylor Swift at the moment, it's now gone to another extreme where Trump has used some of her songs in messaging and she hasn't spoken up and denounced that, unlike the god Olivia Rodrigo. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We stan. But there is... it's interesting, this idea of like, because I sort of feel torn. On one hand, I feel like there's something beautiful about artists committing to just being artists, right? Like I kind of love when Bob Dylan went apolitical. Yeah. I kind of liked him better. Right. Actually, I sort of thought the political messaging early in his career was like, you could only listen to those songs one way. Right. And then when he went into the abstract, his work got more powerful. But at a time when you have, you know, ICE arresting people left, right, and center, and trans people are scared for their lives and all this stuff, there does feel like something, or say what's happened in Gaza, like you do feel like there is some responsibility to maybe pick a side, you know?
Yeah, I think like my uncomfortability, like I'm, in my sort of personal life, I'm pretty quick to be like upset by someone who's kind of doing, I guess, like bystander behavior, which I think is maybe what the issue that people are having with like Taylor Swift in this moment is. And I do think that like...
And just clarify that, but what is bystander behavior?
Just like kind of being personally unaffected by an issue, and so like not seeing a need to kind of speak out about that. And I guess like my question would be like, are you only not speaking out because you're like just fortunate enough that the issue isn't affecting you? And I think if the answer is yes, which it almost always is, like say with like Taylor Swift, you know, it's great that she's not being arrested by ICE, but that's not like, she didn't earn that. She just happened to be, you know, born into that situation. And same with like not being a trans person, and like she's not going to have an issue going in and using a bathroom in Texas. But she has such an ability to like kind of agitate and maybe not like create change in kind of like a legislative sense, but like at least make people feel seen and heard and validated, that I'm like, why would you not want to do that? Like even from like a, like whatever, capitalism is evil, but like surely there's some, like you were saying, you wish you'd cashed in on the lesbian coin. Like,
yeah, I think for her though, she's so big that she's more like, I think she's more like Mark Zuckerberg, where literally she's running a multi-billion-dollar operation and it will affect her bottom line to get on the wrong side of the administration.
Sure.
And that is a extremely dry capitalist reading, but I think that's probably the truth.
But she did a pro-choice, right?
Look, when it was, I think, to her advantage and it was easy to do. I think actually back then it was when she came out, yes, in favor of gay marriage and all that, it was... And it aligned her with a lot of great queer culture.
Right.
It was easier to do. And I think now it's harder to do for her.
Yeah,
you know?
It changed a bit for her, Yeah,
I don't have a lot of sympathy for, you know, people like defending her at least. I'm kind of like, you know, she's made some great records, but she has so much power. Like just throw up a Palestine flag at a show.
I even
like,
think
easy.
Like, you don't have to be that. You don't have to be that even like, I always do with someone like Taylor Swift, I understand. It's not that I'm empathetic, but like I'm in reality about business interests, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are ways of demonstrating your values as a compassionate person who's aware of what's happening in the world without sloganeering, without flags,
even if you
without
say, like,
simplifying it too much,
you
know?
Say, just like...
You can come out and say war is wrong, like, killing is wrong.
Yeah.
You can say that and the message is clear.
It's quite easy, in fact.
And
it's easy. It's easy.
Yeah, the whole... There's a way even to talk about ICE stuff, like I'm sure... I don't know. I mean, that's
you can say, okay, I get it. You can't run... In general, the understanding is in the world, you can't run a country with open borders. We understand that. That's the agreement. But there's a way to do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I
Anyway,
can't even
whatever.
think.
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
too
been able to
depressing,
think
but-
about it because I just haven't. I don't know why. It's too heavy.
What about the Australian
ICE.
music industry?
Yeah.
How do you feel in terms of both as an up and coming artist, but also as an artist that's wanting to challenge preconceptions? What's the environment like for you in the industry?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like as like FVNERAL, we've been trying to like figure it out kind of recently, and sort of are like, trying to, I guess, like work out how like DIY we want to like do things. And I guess like asking from do we want to like, are there parts of engaging in like the broader system that feel like problematic, I guess. And
what does that mean? What's an example of that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, say if like a label comes and wants to like have a conversation, but really like doesn't seem like there have been conversations that I've had that a label seems to think that like the trans stuff being so forward is like kind of like a fun novelty and like something that we've been like clever about business wise, which is just like funny because it's not like we're just doing it because it feels insincere to not do that.
Meaning, and they hope you'll tone it down if you go.
No, or even being like, oh, cool, like we could sell this.
See you
and I'm like,
being
what?
like even like a K-pop band or something, because you guys just are all so adorable, the three of you.
Shucks.
And you could be even like cartoon characters. So I could see why because you guys are like, you're just all so specifically great looking, great personalities, quite different to one another. So I could see like, you know what I mean? Like it could even be like the Powerpuff Girls or whatever.
You got dollar signs in your eyes, baby.
I do, like just like because you guys
Make
are
it happen,
all
Ian.
so appealing. It's just a great group. So like I could just see like just the visuals, like if you guys just all look so great together. Like you did that little video the other day, like in the I don't know. You guys are just so great looking. But that's
okay.
Sorry, I'm just saying. You could
So
I love
this.
This is
So
great.
we're getting courted. You're getting courted by labels. We're hearing that. You have a meeting. They're like cute gimmick.
The
Yes,
verse.
yes, right.
The what's the word when you add verse to the end of something? The funeral verse. You make
sure.
like a whole word.
Funiverse.
Yeah, I don't know.
Spin-offs.
There has been some sense that people do maybe think it's a little gimmicky. And
I'm not saying gimmicky.
No,
I'm
not
saying
you.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, sorry. I just
no,
wanted to say I'm
all
not-
that you said was very sweet and earnest. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I think trying to like figure out how to like, I guess like make sure what we're doing is like accessible to people. I think. I don't know. It's tricky. I think like obviously like it's hard for change to happen at say like labels and in I'm just kind of like using labels as a catch-all for like industry stuff, but like until obviously there needs to be I'm kind of like focused on there being more like trans artists being platformed, but for that to happen in like a really robust way, there also needs to be like a bigger diversity of people that like work in the industry and are kind of doing stuff behind the scenes. And I think like I don't know, like it's hard until people like are really ready to grapple with like what it means that we live in like late stage capitalism and the fact that Australia's music industry is really like dominated by like largely like 3 companies. I think that like change will be slow.
What are the artists like who do really well? Like, are they helping the industry? Like Aisha Erotica or Kim Petras or something? Like
Aisha Erotica is just trying to survive.
okay, but are there?
Oh, you're talking about trans artists in general?
There's ones that have done well, like some.
I don't know.
Really
What do you think about
like,
that?
That's helpful, right?
Is it like a rising tide lifts all ships, or is it like everyone's out for themselves?
I'm curious if there's some people who don't even think about capitalism as a problem when they're just like making a lot of money and they're like,
Sure. I mean, probably. I think like
I don't know anything, by the way, but I'm just curious.
I don't know. I guess I think maybe in some sense it's like a lot of the big trans artists are still kind of, maybe they're not able to spend a huge amount of time on like sort of political advocacy projects just because they're like, they're also experiencing like hectic like personal situations.
Yeah.
But
it's good It's good the more
the representation is like useful,
good,
right?
Like it'll more and more
Yeah.
it'll be more and more people who can
Totally. Yeah, I don't know. I think like it's interesting to think about people that are like doing well by like industry metrics. Maybe there's some like level of like filtering what they're saying. Just because I think like, we're all like promoting ourselves on tech companies that are like owned by like ostensibly evil people, or at least at best like negligent people.
Yeah, you have to weigh up like Mae Martin like doing well commercially in a sense. Like what's better? Is it just the exposure? Does that outweigh working for companies that you don't believe in?
Who can believe in any companies? Believing in companies. I mean,
I believe in this company.
Dave's Bread was
Dave's Bread
at first, and then got bought up.
Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up?
Not really. I mean, I just feel this like immense gratitude that you wanted to be on this song. I feel like it's so cool. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but you know that Awake is the New Sleep is the first CD I ever bought, right?
Amazing. I saw that in the Twisty.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know, that is so crazy.
Yeah. I remember growing up watching. I had a lot of. I'm like the youngest of a lot of cousins, and they would always watch Rage. And sort of around Christmas time, get like hyped up to go to the big day out, which I was sadly not old enough to go to. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, all your stuff would come on, and it kind of like hooked me. It was like my first introduction into like pop music, and like kind of a melody being like moving was your songs. So
That's awesome.
Crazy.
Isn't that cool? It's like so funny that you never know where life's going to take you, and you end up like working together, and
So true.
amazing. Well,
it's crazy.
Everybody, check out FVNERAL with a V. If you're Googling, important note.
Yeah, totally.
Just to throw people off, as if it's not complicated messaging enough.
No, it's good.
No, FVNERAL amazing.
Should we spell
Friendly
it out?
fire.
FVNERA.
Yeah, and go see them. Go to check out Transgenre when it's on next. When's the next one? Next year sometime?
Yeah, there'll be a couple on next year.
Cool.
Yes.
So fun.
And yeah, that's about
Stream
it.
Friendly Fire.
Stream Friendly Fire, beautiful babies. We're out.
Bye.
Bye.
Together we're weirder together.